I've replayed that morning 1,000 times in my head, the pounding on my door, the fear in his eyes, and the choice that should have been simple but somehow wasn't. Everyone in my building thought James was unstable, the paranoid neighbor who saw danger everywhere. Faulty elevators, falling trees, electrical fires that never existed. For 2 years, we all ignored him, rolled our eyes, and avoided him in the halls. But on April 17th at 5 in the morning, when James knocked on my door with sheer terror in his voice and begged me not to go to work, something inside me told me to listen. I can't explain why. Logic screamed at me to ignore him. My career, my responsibilities, my reputation, all of it said I should go to work like I did every other day. But I didn't, I stayed home. And by noon, I understood why. Before we dive in, have you ever had a gut feeling that saved you or ignored a warning you wish you listened to? Tell me in the comments below. And if you love stories about intuition and second chances, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's next. April 17th, 5:03 a.m. The pounding yanked me out of sleep. Bang, 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 not just knocking, pounding, desperate, urgent. My heart raced as I sat up in the dark. The clock glowed red. 5:03 a.m. Who knocks on someone's door at 5 in the morning? Something had to be terribly wrong. Bangs, bangs, bangs. I'm coming, I called, stumbling out of bed and pulling a robe over my pajamas. I peeked through the peephole. It was James Goodwin from 2C, the quiet, odd neighbor everyone avoided. His face was pale, drawn, eyes wild with something I'd never seen in him before, fear. I unlocked the doors. James, what's Don't go to work today, he interrupted. His voice was hoarse, shaky, like he'd been running. Call in sick or something, please just trust me. I blinked, still half asleep. What do you mean, James? Don't go to Westfield today, promise me, Pamela. James, I have to go to work, I have reports due. I don't care about your reports. He grabbed the doorframe, knuckles white. You can't go to that building today, do you understand me? His intensity scared me. This wasn't the quiet, awkward neighbor I'd seen 100 times before. This was someone unraveling. James, what's going on? Are you okay? He opened his mouth, closed it again, then glanced over his shoulder like someone might be listening. I can't, he whispered. I can't explain right now, I need to run, just promise me you'll stay home. You're scaring me, I said quietly. Good, he muttered. You should be scared, but you'll be safe here. He stepped back. You'll understand by noon. Wait, James, but he was already running down the hall toward the stairs. I stood there, frozen, hand on the doorknob, mind spinning. What on earth just happened? I started to close my door when I heard it again. Bangs, bangs, bangs. This time muffled from the apartment below mine. 3B John Cannon's place. I froze, listening. James's voice, urgent, desperate. I couldn't make out the words, but his tone was pleading. Then another voice, louder, angry. John, it's 5 in the morning. You have to listen, James shouted. I'm sick of this, James, you're always. People are going to die. You're insane, you need help. Then slam, the sound of a door slamming shut echoed up through the floor. Silence. Then footsteps again, slow, heavy, James walking away. I stood there, heart pounding. John had just slammed the door in his face, and something about that moment felt wrong, deeply wrong. I closed my door quietly, locked it, and James's words echoed in my mind. People are going to die. What did he know that the rest of us did? Was it a premonition, or was he the danger himself? I stood in my dark living room, trying to make sense of it. James Goodwin, 47 years old, lived alone in 2C, quiet, polite, and according to everyone in Meadowbrook Apartments, completely paranoid. For 2 years, he'd been warning people about things that never happened, frayed elevator cables, unstable trees, electrical fires that didn't exist. Every single time it turned out to be nothing. So people stopped listening. They called him the guy who cried wolf. I'd done the same, a polite nod here, a quick hello there, nothing more. But this time, something felt different. I looked down at my phone, a text from my coworker Lisa from last night. Did you finish the Monroe budget analysis? Norman wants it first thing tomorrow. Tomorrow, which meant today. I'd promised to come in early to finish it before the 9 a.m. meeting. Norman, my supervisor, would lose it if I didn't show up. But James's face, his raw, desperate fear, kept flashing in my mind. You'll understand by noon. What did that even mean? I made a decision, not with logic but with instinct. I texted my manager. Personal emergency, can't come in today, sorry for the short notice. Then I sat on my couch in the dark and waited. 6:45 a.m. I couldn't go back to sleep. I made coffee, sat by the window and watched the sun rise over the parking lot. Everything looked so normal, quiet, the world waking up like it did every other morning. Maybe James was wrong. Maybe I'd just wasted a personal day on someone else's paranoia. My phone buzzed, Norman was calling. I almost didn't answer, but not picking up would only make things worse. Hello, Pamela, what's this about a personal emergency? His tone was sharp, irritated. I'm really sorry, I said. Something came up, I can't come in today. The Monroe analysis is due at 9. You promised to finish it this morning. I know, I'm sorry. Can Lisa present what we have? I'll finish it tonight and send it first thing tomorrow. This is unacceptable, Pamela. We have clients. I'm sorry, Norman, I have to go. I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking. I had never done that before, never called in sick without a reason, never hung up on my boss. But my gut kept whispering, stay home, just stay home. 7:30 a.m. Footsteps echoed in the hallway, heavy, rushed. I looked through the peephole. John Cannon from 3B sales manager, always stressed, always late. Dark suit, leather briefcase, phone pressed to his ear. He worked at Westfield too. A cold feeling crept into my stomach. Hadn't James tried to warn him this morning? 8:00 a.m. I opened my laptop and typed James Goodwin into Google. Nothing unusual at first, just a LinkedIn profile. Former safety inspector for commercial buildings. Former. I kept digging, added safety inspector to the search. Then I found it. A news article 3 years old. Jefferson Tower collapse kills 12, former inspector claims he warned officials. My hands trembled as I clicked. James Goodwin, 44, former safety inspector for Huntington and Associates, claims he filed multiple reports about structural issues at Jefferson Tower in the months leading up to its collapse. I warned them, the article quoted him saying. They called me alarmist, they fired me for causing unnecessary panic. Company representatives denied receiving any urgent reports. The collapse was under investigation. I scrolled further, found a follow-up story. Investigation concludes Jefferson Tower collapse caused by neglected maintenance, 12 dead. My blood ran cold. James had been right, he had warned them and no one listened. Now he was warning me. And the place he told me to avoid was Westfield. 8:30 a.m. My phone buzzed again. A text from Lisa. Where are you? Norman's losing his mind. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. If James was right once, could he be right again? Personal emergency. Lisa, are you okay? Me, yeah, just needed a day. Lisa, okay, by the way, there's some crazy guy outside our building screaming at people not to go inside. Security, dealing with it. My heart stopped. Me's what guy? Lisa, I don't know, some older man, keeps yelling about gas leaks or something. Security called the cops. Me, what does he look like? Lisa, scruffy jeans, jacket, looks like he hasn't slept in days. James was at Westfield, screaming at people not to go inside. Me, Lisa, listen to me, leave the building right now. Lisa, what, why, you're freaking me out. Me, please just get out of there, I'm serious. She didn't respond. I called straight to voicemail. Called again, nothing. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold my phone. 9:15 a.m. I paced my apartment, every minute felt like an hour. James was there warning people, and security thought he was insane, just like everyone always did. But what if he was? I pulled up the local news on my laptop. Nothing, just traffic and weather updates, everything looked fine. Maybe James was wrong, maybe this was just another false alarm. But then I remembered Jefferson Tower. He'd been right once, and no one had listened. 10:30 a.m. My phone rang, an unknown number. I answered immediately. Hello, Pamela. Lisa's voice, shaky, breathless. Oh my God, Pams, you were right. What happened? The fire department showed up. They're evacuating the building. They said there's a gas leak. They found structural damage in the East Wing foundation. My knees gave out, I dropped onto the couch. Are you out? Are you safe? Yeah, we're all in the parking lot. They said we can't go back in maybe for days. Okay, good, stay out there, don't go back inside. Pam, how did you know? I'll explain later, just please stay outside. I hung up and stared at my phone. James was right, there was a gas leak. Structural damage, just like he said. But the fire department was there. They were evacuating, it would be fine. It had to be fine. Then boom. A sound, distant but unmistakable. The floor trembled, my windows rattled, car alarms screamed outside. I ran to the window, looked toward downtown. A plume of black smoke rose into the sky. No. I grabbed my phone. Called Lisa, straight to voicemail. Called again and again. Nothing. My chest tightened, I couldn't breathe. Then the phone rang. Another unknown number. Hello. Is this Pamela Spencer? Yes, who's this? This is Officer Todd Reavers with the Denver Police Department. Were you scheduled to work today at the Westfield office complex? Everything inside me went cold. Yes, why? There was an explosion at Westfield around 11:15. We're calling all scheduled employees to confirm they're safe. I'm home, I didn't go in today. What happened? How bad is it? There was a gas explosion in the East Wing. We've confirmed casualties. Casualties? Ms. Spencer, you're extremely fortunate. My co-workers, are they? I can't disclose specifics yet. We're still assessing, but there were fatalities. Fatalities? People were dead. Ms. Spencer, please stay home, we'll be in touch. The line went dead. 11:45 a.m. I don't remember walking to James's apartment. 1 minute I was on my couch, the next I was pounding on his door. He opened it immediately, face streaked with soot, eyes red. You knew, I said. My voice didn't sound like my own. You knew. He looked at me, exhausted, broken. I tried, he whispered. His voice broke. I tried to warn everyone. I was at Westfield, screaming at people not to go inside. Security dragged me away, called the police. By the time they let me go, his words faltered. How many? I whispered. The news, 5 so far, he said, voice hollow. 5 people dead. John Cannon from 3B, I had seen him leave that morning. James nodded. He went back inside after the evacuation. Oh my God, John was dead. John, who had called James paranoid, slammed his door in his face, was dead. We sat in James's apartment, silent, the TV running news coverage. Finally I asked, how did you know about Westfield? How did you know there was a gas leak? James stared at his hands. I walk every evening, same route, past the park, down Riverside, past Westfield, then home. I've done it for 2 years. He looked up, voice trembling. Last night around 7:30 I walked past the east side of the building. There's a utility access area, concrete foundation, gas line access panels. A crack? I asked. Not biggie, maybe 6 inches long but deep. The concrete was discolored, compromised for a while. He swallowed hard, I smelled it faintly. Gas. So you called everyone? I called building management. Voicemail, called the fire department 3 times. First 2 times they said someone would check. The third they finally sent an inspector. At 7 this morning I called the police non-emergency line. Nothing, the gas company, they said they'd look into it. But I knew it was serious. He looked at me, eyes haunted. I've seen this before. Gas leaks in buildings with foundation cracks. Gas seeps in, builds up in sealed spaces between floors, in walls, and when it reaches the right concentration. He didn't need to finish. I whispered, Jefferson Tower. Yes, same warning signs, cracks, gas smell. I documented everything. I begged them to evacuate, to fix it. They fired me, said I was alarmist. 6 months later, a minor earthquake stressed the compromised structure. The building collapsed. His voice went hollow. I see their faces every night, I know their names, their families, and today I was at Westfield at 6:45 screaming at people not to go inside. Security dragged me away, called the cops, but not everyone left. Not John Cannon, he walked past me, called me a lunatic. I closed my eyes, John's last words. James continued, voice barely a whisper. It was probably an electrical spark, old wiring in the east wing. One spark, 48 hours of accumulated gas, and that was it. We sat in silence. The weight of it settled over us like ash. He broke down, sobbing. I put my hand on his shoulder. You saved me, James. You're the first person in 3 years who actually listened. Then I'm glad I was that person, he said, tears streaming. The final death toll, 5, John Cannon 35, sales manager, wife, 2 children. Janet Bynes 42, receptionist. Hugo Webb 28, junior accountant. Denise Hart 51, senior analyst. Omar Jackson 33, IT specialist. 5 people who went to work on a Tuesday morning and never came home. Investigations revealed it all. Corroded gas pipe, foundation crack, gas building up for 48 hours. The building had been flagged for inspection months earlier, delayed for budget reasons. 6 months later, James and I meet for coffee sometimes. We don't talk about that day much, we don't need to. Last week at my new office, the fire alarm panel blinked red. Norman said it was a system malfunction. I told him no, today it's a safety hazard, fix it today or I call the fire marshal. He stared, then nodded. It was fixed that afternoon. I learned something that day, something I'll carry forever. Warnings aren't always logical. Sometimes they're a gut feeling, a neighbor pounding on your door at 5 a.m., eyes wide with terror. Sometimes life and death depend on whether you listen. Every day I'm grateful for James Goodwin, for instincts louder than logic, for the knock on my door that saved my life. James Goodwin isn't crazy. He's careful, watchful, and safety is never worth sacrificing for productivity. Have you ever had a gut feeling that saved you, or ignored a warning you wish you had? Share your story in the comments below. If this story about intuition, warnings, and one neighbor's refusal to stay silent moved you, hit that like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell. Don't miss our next life-saving story. Thanks for watching.